All right, hey everybody, we are live. My name is Hone, for those who don't know me, and today we're going to be talking about real estate investing for retirement. And a lot of people think retirement has to happen when they're 65 years old. And the reason for that is because that is when your passive income kicks in. Your passive income is the money that you make without working. So when you're 65, that's things like your pensions, your 401ks, your IRAs, that's when you start to cash out. And that's the money that you have that's the money that you make without working, right? That's ideal. But can you do that? Can you do that when you're younger? You have to wait until you're 65, and the answer is absolutely not. Why would you have to do that? And the answer is obvious that you don't have to do that. That's why I'm doing this video. So let's dive right into it. Let's go right into it. Enough chit chat, right? So I'm gonna do a little whiteboard, right? And so let's start with let's say for example, you needed to make $5,000 a month. Okay, $5,000 a month. That is going to pay for things like, let's say you have rent, utilities, car, what else? Food, fun, all of that kind of stuff. My mic is messed up. Thank you for that little tidbit. Thank you. Let me change that. Mic. Okay. Is this better? I'm sorry, Jesse. Jesse, can you hear me? Is this better? Anybody out there? Is this much better? Hopefully it is. Do I still sound like RoboCop? Please let me know. Put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. Technical difficulties. That happened to me earlier, and I don't know why. I don't know why. Do I sound any better, guys? All right. Do I still? Yeah, what? Yeah, I sound better? Or yeah, I still sound like RoboCop? Now it's clear, my man. Jesse, thank you. Thank you. Let's get back to it. Let's get back to the message, okay? So today we are going to be talking about retirement before the age of 65. How in the world do you do that? So let's pretend like what you need for living is $5,000 a month, okay? It sounded like echoing back. It now it sounds good. Okay. Okay, so $5,000 a month. That's what you need. That's for rent, utilities, cars, food, fun, all that good stuff. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jesse. Thanks for letting me know it sounds good. So these are the costs. Now there's going to be more, and the reason I picked $5,000 a month because if you just multiply that by, uh, oops, not by that much. Let me erase that. If you just multiply that by 12, that equals 60K. A lot of people make 60K. This is just an example. Let's just say that's all you need to retire right now. Imagine your life where you made 60K a year without having to work, right? That 60K goes towards paying all of these things. So how do you do it? How do you accomplish this? How do you pay, or how do you get paid $60,000 a year passively? How do you get that $5,000 a month? Because if you do, right, if your passive income is greater than that, right? If your passive income is greater than that, then you're good. You're good. Then you are free to do other things. Now, if you want to continue working, you may. But your passive income, when your passive income is greater than your expenses, you're free. You're free. It's a simple formula. The key is, or the trick is, how do we actually get you to that point? And I'd love to show you how. So let's talk about it. So, in order to get you from $0 in passive income to 5,000, that's our goal, 5,000 a month in passive income, you got to get assets. Assets are those things that put money in your pocket. So the simplest asset that we can talk about is a single family home. That's where most people start. That is not where I started. I started with a 6-unit apartment building, but you may start with a single family home. I don't care where you start. I just care that you start. Right. So let's talk about that. So most people say, Hone, I don't have the money, right? I don't have the money to get started. I can't afford to invest in real estate. So I would ask questions like, so how do you know? How much money do you need? Right? How much money do you need? And people are like, oh, well, don't I need like $1 million to start? Right. And I was like, where did you come up with that number from? And the thing is, they didn't. They just your brain and your mouth just spit out stuff, whether it's true or not. You just like you feel like you have to come up with some kind of number to sound intelligent. And by you saying the $1 million, to me, it makes you sound unintelligent. It's just the opposite effect. You sound unintelligent. So don't do that, please. Don't just make up numbers because you think I'm good. So most people say they don't have the money. So my suggestion to them is, how about you learn how to make some money? Or I'm sorry, let me just teach you how to buy properties without money, right? How about you learn how to buy properties without money? And now, when we say without money, we actually just mean without your own money. So not your money, not your money, right? So that's the big difference. So if you can figure out how to buy properties without using your money, then you can go buy properties. But just because you're buying money or properties without your money, it doesn't mean you don't own the properties, right? So let's talk about real quick a property, a house, right? Here's the house. On one side, you got the money. On the other side, you got the ownership on or the deed, title, all that good stuff, right? So you can be the owner, but the money comes from other people. So OPM, other people's money. So you can own the house, right? Own the house, but the money comes from someone else. That's the trick. That's the trick. If you can just get your brain to get around that. Now, for most people, the other people's money is the bank. And they know about 80%, 20%. They think, I got to bring 20% and then the bank will give the other 80%. That's the extent of people's knowledge. And that is where you get stuck. That's where you get in trouble. That's where you work for the rest of your life. That's why you retire at the age of 65, because your brain and your intelligence never passed this point where 80% is the bank, 20% is your down payment. And they always say, Hone, I don't have the 20% down. And then I like to respond with, well, I never told you that you needed 20%. That was the inference that you made. That was the conclusion you came up with by yourself, that you needed the 20%. And if you could just take that piece of it out and throw it away, then we can start making some progress. We can start showing you how to purchase a property. Okay? So let's get into that, right? So again, we got your house. Okay, we got your here, and you need some money to buy the house. But where can the money come from? So let's say that the house is owned by this person, and you're like, hey, I want to buy the house. This is you, okay, and this is the owner. So maybe the owner has a mortgage for $80,000 already. Okay, they already went to the bank. They put their 20% down. They got a mortgage for $80,000, and they're like, Hone, I want to sell the property to you, right? And if this is me, Hone, hey Hone, I want to sell the property to you, and I say, sure, let's do this. Let's make a deal. I ask him, hey, well, how much do you pay per month? And he says, on the 80,000, I pay $500 per month. I say, okay, cool. How much do you want to sell the house for? And he might say something like, I want to sell the house for $100,000. Okay, great. So this 80 is the mortgage. He wants the sale price is $100,000, $500 monthly payment. You guys are all following along. So there's a couple of different ways you can handle this, a bunch of different ways. So my first question to you guys is, what is this house worth? Right? What is this house worth? And a lot of you guys will say it's worth $100,000. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's not necessarily true that it's worth $100,000. It could be worth $175,000. But the thing is, we don't know. And maybe the seller doesn't know. Maybe the house is worth $175,000, but he's selling it for $100,000. Why would somebody want to do that? Why would they do that? I get that question all the time from newbies. Why in the world would anybody sell a $175,000 house for $100,000? Well, one, because they don't know that it's worth $175,000. Two, maybe they're just looking to liquidate it quickly, and they're looking to sell it for $100,000 because they actually think it's worth $125,000, but they're willing to list it for $100,000. And And or maybe they wanted 125 and I negotiated down to 100, but again, they just didn't know that it was worth 175, or they couldn't find anybody, or they didn't care to find somebody who's willing to pay 175. So sometimes sellers just make it up. They don't want to deal with a real estate agent. They don't want to do any repairs to the house. They are embarrassed that their house is messy, right? They're embarrassed that their house is messy, so they don't even have a real estate agent listed or come through. They don't want anybody walking through. They say, "Hone, I see that you buy houses, and I just want to work with you." They send me a private message. "Hey, I'm looking to sell my house. Can you help me?" Absolutely. Let me help you out. Let me buy this house from you. So they sell the house. They want to sell the house for 100,000 and they have an $80,000 mortgage. First question you always ask is why? Why are you selling? Why are you selling the house? And then they say, "Oh, well, because I want to move to Florida. I want to retire." They are 65 years old, right? They say, "I want to move to Florida." I'm like, "All right, great. Well, how about I give you that $100,000 that you want, right? I give you that $100,000 and you go move to Florida." And then I ask the question, do you need to do you have a place in Florida already? "Oh, no, no. I'm still looking. I'm still looking." "Okay, great. Do you have a place to stay if I buy your house?" They're like, "Well, no. No, I don't." "Oh, okay. Well, here, let's do this. I'll do you a favor, you do me a favor. I'll let you continue to stay in the house after I buy the house," right? So if they sell it for 100,000, right? If they sell it for 100,000 and they owe 80,000 on it, that means they plan to walk away with 20K before the expenses, such as transfer taxes and whatnot. So they want to walk away with some money. So they're expecting, say, 15 to 20K, something like that. And I say, "Okay, cool. So what are you going to do with that money?" "Oh, I'm going to use it for the moving truck. I'm going to use it for the down payment for my next house, or I'm going to use it to pay for rent in Florida. I'm going to use it for whatever," right? So they're just looking for the money. And I say, "Okay, cool. So here, I'll do you a favor, you do me a favor. I'll buy a house for $100,000, which means you will get the 15 to $20,000 that you are expecting. Now, I need you to allow me to continue to pay your mortgage, that $500 a month. Let me continue to pay that on your behalf. We'll keep it in your name. I'll just keep paying it. But in the meantime, you will get your 15 to $20,000 and you get to stay in the house for a couple of months. Maybe we'll negotiate 2 months. So I'll give you 2 months for free. And if you stay longer, I'll just charge you $1,000 a month while you stay there. And we'll keep all the utilities on in your name. We don't even have to change over any of that because it's already on in your name. So we'll leave that alone. So I will continue to pay the $500 a month and I'll let you stay there for 2 months. And if you need to go and stay longer, we'll just charge you $1,000 a month. And he goes, "Wow, wow, you would really do that? You will allow me to stay in my own house after I sell it to you while I look for my new place in Florida?" "Yes, I will do that. But again, keep the mortgage in your name and I will pay the $500 a month every single month now." He goes, "No problem. Not a problem at all." So now what have I done? I've just secured $80,000. And by securing the $80,000, that means I just need to come up with the 15 to 20,000. And you go, "Hone, well, now we're back to the original dilemma of coming up with that down payment, that 20%. Hone, I thought you said we didn't need to." Okay. So now how do we do that? How do we come up with it? Well, there's a couple of different ways. You can get with a private money lender. That's just somebody you know who can lend you the money for that. You can also get your credit cards or line of credit. I use that all the time. I use credit cards, lines of credit that allow me to take the money from my credit card, balance transfer it into my checking account or whatever, and then I pay the owner the $20,000. We bring that to the title company. The title company cuts the owner a check. Everybody's happy. You can also tap into, well, I was gonna say IRA, right? But not exactly. You would raise your money. You would raise IRA money from your private money lenders, right? You can actually buy properties in your self-directed, right? Self-directed IRA. You can actually have your IRA own the house. Now, most people have a 401k or something like that. If you roll your 401k into what's called a self-directed IRA, you can now have their IRA money own the property. Most people say like, "Oh, Hone, I don't have the money." You have the money. It's just in locations that you didn't know you had. So a self-directed IRA will allow you to buy the house. And then when you buy your house using the self-directed IRA, when you rent it out or you flip it, all of that money that you made in profit goes back into the self-directed IRA, completely tax-free or tax deferred, depending on whether you did a traditional or a Roth. But that's a cool way to make money and not have to pay taxes. The other way that you can do it is if you have cash value in a life insurance policy. So a lot of people don't realize that there is cash value in a life insurance policy that allows you to use the cash for whatever you want, including that, right? And now here's the most clever way. It's like, okay, how much money do you actually need? And the owner says, well, I need $5,000 for the moving truck. Oops, not $500,000. I need $5,000 for the moving truck and all that good stuff to move to Florida. Okay, cool. And so the other, say $10,000, if he was going to get 15, right? So then the other $1,000, you mind holding a note, and I pay you back $100 a month or whatever on that note until I'm done and I refinance the property. So really, I just have to find $5,000 because they were willing to hold back a $10,000 note. So that's another little trick that you can do as well, and that's called seller finance or seller second or whatever, right? There's a lot of different names, but the point of this whole thing is how do you become financially capable of retiring before you're the age of 65? How do you do that, right? So we just showed you, right? We buy a house, we bought it for $100K, right? And I just showed you a whole bunch of different strategies, seller finance, subject to whatever, blah, 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 right? So you buy the house for $100K, it's worth 175. You do what's called a refinance, right? So now we go to the bank and we refinance the 100,000 based off of the $175,000 value. So if I were to take $175,000 and multiply that by say 0.7, right? So 70% loan to value. The bank is willing to give me $122,000 based on the 70% loan to value of the 175. I use that 122 and I pay off the $100,000 where it was an $80,000 mortgage plus say $5,000 in closing costs plus the $10,000 note plus the $5,000 I gave to the owner, right? So that's $100,000 right there. That's where that came from, let's say. So I use that and then I can pocket the rest. So 22,000 goes into my pocket. Now the math is sloppy here. The math, I will agree with you. The math is sloppy, but the formula is solid. Okay, so I do a little cash out refinance. I put 22K in my pocket. I borrowed 70% of the value of the 175. I paid off all that. Now I have this house, right? I have this house. I have $22,000 in my pocket. I have $0 out of I have $0 out of pocket, right? Because I put 22,000 in pocket. Okay, so now, and I still own the house. You guys following along? I own the house. I have $22,000 in my pocket. I have $0 out of my pocket, and then I rent it out, right? So now the owner, he moved to Florida, and now the house rents out. Let's say it rents out for $1,500 a month, and then after expenses, right? After expenses, let's say I put $500 in cash flow in my pocket, as an example, right? I have to pay the mortgage. I have to pay the mortgage on the 122. I still have to pay the mortgage on the 122. Let's pretend like the mortgage was $750 and then $250 went towards expenses for taxes and insurance and things like that, right? So that means there's $1,000 in expenses. So that means $500 in cash flow. Okay, so that's $500. Remember, $0 out of pocket. So if you have $0 out of pocket, how many more deals like this can you do? How many deals? How many deals can you do? Well, the answer is as many as you want, right? As many as you want. I can keep on going, right? And so if every single property I put $500 in my pocket, and if our goal was $5,000 per month, right? That means all I need to do is 10 houses. That's it. I need 10 houses. Based on this formula, I need 10 houses. Let's pretend like you got 2 houses per year this way. Okay? If you got 2 houses per year this way, that means you would be retired in 5 years. You would be retired in 5 years because you would be able to make $5,000 a month in passive income, which is, like we did earlier, $60,000 a year. Some of you make $60,000 a year now. So if you did 2 houses a year, that would be 5 years. If you did 3 houses a year, that'd be 3.33 years, right? It's just something like that. So just consider that is how you retire. It's when your passive income exceeds your expenses, right? Where are we at? Yeah, right here. So when your passive income exceeds your expenses, you win. And if your expenses are right here and $5,000 was enough to cover it, and all you needed to do was collect that enough passive income, each house made $500 in cash flow, 10 houses, and you are free. Free is a beautiful word. Freedom, right? Freedom to do what you want. That's the key. You're not getting any younger. So you want to learn how to do this stuff, and you want to learn it quick. Now, if you are interested in learning how to do it, I have a class tonight. Come check it out. HonesLoans.com/meeting. All right, HonesLoans.com/meeting. And then you can also check me out at my new website where I am building a team of real estate investors at truthaboutrei.com. But for now, HonesLoans.com/meeting. All right, so check that out. Go there. Register for tonight's class. Tonight's class is at 7 p.m. 7 p.m. All right, so 7 p.m. Go there at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And we do this every Tuesday. And then Truth About REI, that's me. I'm building a special team. I'm building something amazing. If you guys got any value out of this video, share it. Put it in the comments. Share the video. Tell other people, because everybody wants to talk about how to invest, or how to be free, how to retire, how to make money, how to do all that kind of stuff. I just showed you how to create passive income and how you can create enough passive income so that you can be free. Because imagine working because you want to, not because you have to. It's an amazing feeling. It's a totally amazing feeling. So most people never get to experience that because they never implement the strategies that I show. What I just showed you, super simple. You talk to a seller, you figure out their pain points, you figure out why they want to sell, you come up with a price that works out for both of you. You then figure out the funding, you execute on the deal. Boom, done. Do that over. Before you know it, you have a bunch. Just keep doing it. Look, you go to work every single day and you've been doing it for years and years and years, right? And you're building your boss's business. So imagine instead of building your boss's business, you were building your own business. So build your own business, right? Buy a house, buy 2 houses, buy a duplex, buy a triplex, do something like that. Just buy something, get started. But before you just buy something, you need to know how to analyze. You need to know your numbers, because real estate investing is all about numbers. Don't just jump in. Learn how to analyze the numbers, learn how to do the cash flow, learn what the bank is going to expect from you when you refinance, all of that kind of stuff. If you need help with that, reach out to me. You can do it. You can email me. Let me pull up my email. You can email me at, where are we at? There we go. Email at honesloans.com. Right, scrolling at the bottom, hone@honesloans.com. If you want to email me, reach out there. But you got to know this stuff. Learn this stuff, and then you get to be free sooner than 65. Free before 65. That could be my next domain. Free before 65. So if you're interested in figuring out how to retire sooner than later, I just made this video. Hopefully this video helps. Take some action, y'all. This is your life. You don't want another 10 years to pass and be like, dang, if I only listened to Hone in those 10 years that I had been working, I could have had 20 houses, not just 10, right? So you're going to be working every single day of your life anyway. How about you figure out how to create passive income from another source? All right, guys, with that, I'm Hone, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.